You can always tell how much someone is enjoying something by how quickly they want it to be over. Most high school students kind of long for the week to be over so that they can enjoy the promised land of the weekend. At work, a lot of people watch the clock for those last remaining minutes of the shift to kind of slowly tick away so that they can get back home and rest in the arms of their recliner. In doctors' offices, we eagerly await the end of our time in the waiting room so that we can wait longer in the examination room, which we can't wait for it to be over. We're just ready to get out of there. And even here in church, sometimes I see it, not you all, but at the other masses. Sometimes I can see it in people's eyes. At the masses where there's music, I've heard that parents will tell their children, "Okay, Timmy, there's 5 songs left. Now there's 4 songs left, and there's just 3 songs left." But we always seem to be fixated on the end. And the way that we face the end, I think, says a lot about how we're living in the present. I think we're accustomed to people in our world today kind of talking about the end of the world in particular. They like to speculate, as we hear in the gospel, when it will come and what it will be like and where they'll end up after all the dust settles. There are some, I think, who look to the end because they are really just exhausted with the present. They're unhappy with life, with politics, with culture, with all the things that go on, maybe even appalled by the things that God allows to happen. And so in the hopes of escaping this world, all these complications, they long for Christ to come back and kind of clean up the mess that has surrounded us. And it's tempting for us to fall into this mentality because life is messy and it is complicated. But this mentality can also make us critical and jaded and even a little angry at the people around us. And in the end, we kind of give up on life and we just want it to be over. It's really sad. It's a sad existence for some. There are also those who live in fear of what is to come, and it can be tough not to. Even our readings today really challenge us with this. We hear in that first reading about the day of the Lord coming like a blazing oven, and the evildoers will be reduced to stubble. We hear in our gospel about persecutions and wars and insurrections and kingdom rising up against kingdom and nation against nation. It's tough for us not to be a little afraid about what is to come. But it's not a good kind of fear, like the first reading speaks of, this fear of the Lord that can move us to action. Instead, it's a paralyzing fear that prevents us from moving. I remember when I was a kid, back when I had hair, I decided that I was going to give myself a haircut, and it didn't turn out so well. And I thought I would just hide in my room until it grew out, so that my parents wouldn't find out. I didn't make it very long. I needed food. But sometimes we can approach the end in this way. We're afraid of being punished for what we've done. We're afraid that when the Lord comes back that we're going to be in trouble. And so we kind of lock ourselves in our room, both because of a fear of punishment and maybe even because of a fear that we might get into more trouble. And so we just kind of isolate ourselves. We kind of pull back and hunker down in our own little room. And it can really make our lives miserable to live in this way, always living in fear of what might happen. And then there are those who look to the end as a new beginning, full of adventure and new possibilities. I think we can see this most clearly in new parents who are expecting a child. They create a space in their home, they make plans for the arrival of their new baby and ready to welcome the new life that is soon to come. New parents can't run from the present because there are preparations that need to be made. New parents can't be paralyzed with a sense of fear because there is a new life that depends on them. And it's not that they escape, the difficulties or the struggles of those preparations, but they move forward with a sense of a desire to be united with this new life that they are soon to welcome. I think of all the options that we could use to face the end, it seems to me that this is the most useful for us. Because it's not an escape from the present. It's not denying the challenges that are in front of us. But it gives these things a reason. And I think this model of parents welcoming a new child, I think is one that we would be good to adopt for ourselves. Because the struggles will always be there. When we walk out that door, there are challenges and circumstances that we may not want to face, but we have to face them. It's not a matter of running from them or distracting ourselves from them. It's about allowing them to take on purpose, to take on new meaning, that it's through those circumstances that we can discover how Christ is coming to us even now. Father Robert Barron, in the Catholicism series that we've been watching over in the Parish Center, says that the best way to prepare for the world to come is to be ready to be surprised. Surprise, being in awe of what happens, I think is at the heart of our Christian life. It's what makes it interesting. We can look back at Moses, who was surprised by the presence of the burning bush. We can look at Abraham, who was surprised by the three visitors, those three mysterious visitors that promised that he would have descendants. We can think of Mary, who was surprised by the visit of the angel. Our history is filled with surprise. This sense of surprise, of being struck by how Christ makes himself known, is what makes it interesting. It's what allows blood to flow through the veins of Jesus. It's what allows the life of God to be poured out into us here at this altar. It's what allows us to prevent Christ from becoming a statue or just an abstract idea in our minds. It makes him real for us. It makes his presence real. It makes our worship real. It makes our ministry real because he is real. Because he comes to us and surprises us by his presence. It doesn't take away the challenges, but it gives them a reason. It gives them purpose. And I don't know about you, but I think for most of us, we need this in our lives. We need a reason for the difficulties that we have to endure. And so, it's not the end that should concern us. It's the present. Because the end will inevitably come. But the present is already here. And it's in the present that Christ makes himself known. And so we can pray today as we celebrate this Eucharist and as we go forth from here that God would help us to be more aware and to be open to allowing ourselves to be surprised by how he chooses to make himself known to us.